I rule over 1.1 million kids.
I'm Arizona Family political editor Dennis Welch.
Dennis, fake news Welch. Try to tell the truth.
And this is the Politics Unplugged podcast.
Dennis, if you have a problem with substance abuse, I am more than willing to talk to you anytime you need.
And welcome back to the Politics Unplugged podcast today. I'm joined by KJZZ reporter Wayne Schutsky. Thanks for being here, man.
Happy to join you.
Just kind of like want to do kind of a news recap since you've been covering freaking everything.
We try and stay busy in public radio. You know, we try to earn those, the public's trust.
Doing the Lord's work over there, man. I mean, you were doing everything. I mean, the big news of the week is, are you tired of talking about Governor Hobbs's running mate? It feels like we've been talking about this for weeks now.
Yeah, ever since the leak, non-leak, whatever it was.
Whatever the hell that
to the New York Times
weird piece of journalism was.
Yeah, I mean, you've heard me complain about this.
Yeah,
I'm not a big fan of running with anonymous sources when it's something ultimately that doesn't matter, like a lieutenant governor pick. Like, yes, we all want to know the news. We're all hanging on a thread, waiting to see who she's going to pick. And John Giles happened to be the one I thought she was going to pick. But I don't know. I don't see the point in running a 2-byline story based on 2 anonymous sources on that.
Oh, no, that was 3 bylines.
Oh, 3?
Hey, don't short that New York Times reporter over there.
Editor's note 3. I correct myself. But yeah, finally, we got the name in. It really perplexing why they didn't announce it sooner. I know there's been some talk about maybe they just were trying to elongate the media cycle and have us talking about it, which, you know, you and I have talked about it on various shows at this point. So I guess that worked. But a lot of the discussion was about why are they waiting so long? Like, is this a bad idea? So I don't know that it was a positive news cycle, but it did keep us talking about it. Mm-hmm. But ultimately, like I said, the pick is in, not all that surprising.
Yeah, and that was the follow-up question was going to be, since the Bigs team was calling this a botched rollout, I was going to ask you, botched rollout or PR genius? Because you can't buy the kind of publicity.
What about botched PR genius?
Yeah, I mean, it's like maybe both are accurate. I don't know, but like everybody's been talking about it, writing about this for weeks, and man, Biggs would love to have this kind of publicity right now with his campaigns. It's not getting much publicity at all, really.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of that has to do with who the picks actually were. You know, Andy Biggs picked Sina Kerr, well-respected former lawmaker, but not exactly the biggest name out there. John Giles, he has a higher profile. Now, the Biggs team would say that's for bad reasons, that he was the speaker at the DNC, a Republican who did that and all. But now a former Republican, but again, just a higher profile pick. He is someone who people know in Arizona, at least people who are at least fairly plugged into politics.
Yeah, and it's the sexier headline too, which I think is why the Times works so hard to get that story out there, because you get Dem governor taps, former Republican. That's a pretty interesting headline. That's going to grab some eyeballs and a lot of attention, not only here but across the country.
Yeah, and again, why I don't rely on anonymous sources is they botched that because they said tabs Republican. Turns out John Giles not a Republican any longer. He is now an independent. Again, from the optics for the Hobbs campaign, what they were going for, I don't think that makes much of a difference. She's trying to show that she's willing to cross the aisle. She's trying to show that she's trying to appeal to a wide berth of Arizonans, not just Democrats. And whether he's a Republican, former Republican, an independent, or even if he became a Democrat at this point, as long as he strikes that profile of the party left me, I didn't leave the party type of candidate, she's accomplished what she was trying to do.
And again, it's like it's not earth-shattering. Word that he was going to be the pick had been out even before that Times piece was put out. And it folds nicely into her narrative of like she's somebody who's going to work across party lines and do this, that, and the other thing. I mean, she's running this year in part on the Trump tax credits, and things like that. So I think this folds neatly into that whole campaign narrative that she's trying to spin out there.
Yeah, and if you look at her track record, by and large, that is how she's governed. Some of that is just the realities
100%.
Of governing with a Republican legislature. She never really accomplished a lot of her more aggressive goals, reining in the voucher system, that kind of thing, because she couldn't. So she kind of leaned more into the moderate stuff. Now, the biggest campaign will point out that she has vetoed more legislation than any governor in history. And,
by a whole lot.
Yeah, like not even close. Like, yeah. But again, I think then the Hobbs campaign will turn that back and be like, I was vetoing the most extreme stuff. Again, trying to appeal to that middle-of-the-road voter.
Yeah, and it probably helps her that she was dealing with the Republican legislature these past 4 years. Because, what would she have been asked to, what would her party have asked her to sign had Democrats controlled the legislature? We'll never know. You get some sense about some of the bills that were filed by Democrats over the past couple of years, but those bills never even got a hearing.
Yeah, so again, the best, she doesn't have to defend those things, which may help her at a re-election. Again, I stress this to a lot of people. We're not really a purple state here. We're more of a light red state. Republicans still hold a significant advantage in voter registration. Truly Arizonan way of thinking. Many of them will cross the aisle if they really don't like their own party's candidate and they can stomach the other party's candidate.
And we've seen that here. I mean, Arizona is a place where candidates really do matter, at least at the top of the ticket. Just ask Kari Lake.
Yeah, and Andy Biggs' biggest line early on in the campaign was, he is not Kari Lake. And, from some perspectives, I agree with that. And I've heard a lot of folks who in the know in politics who agree with that, because he's not going out there and standing in front of a camera and shouting at you all of this crazy nonsense that turns those moderate voters off.
Now, his problem, though, is he may not be Kari Lake and is going out there and being bombastic. His problem is his voting record. He's got a long voting record in actions he's taken, not only in Congress, but as Senate president. Already, the Hobbs campaign has been just every opportunity they get trying to beat him up over actions he took regarding Colorado City about 12, 13 years ago when he was Senate president.
Yeah, I know you guys have talked to him about that and kind of looked back at that record. That's going to be problematic for him, his vote not to certify Arizona's election. We did a piece on looking back at his involvement in January 6th and his decision not to certify the election. He's trying to downplay it, that nobody cares about this. I would argue that there's one very big audience that cares about this, and that is the president, who keeps trying to rehash it in Arizona and other states. So that is he's not going out in front of the cameras and reminding people that, he thinks the election was stolen. Now he's kind of moderating on that. But the Hobbs campaign has plenty of money to remind voters about his long track record.
And that's the thing is, Andy Biggs can say and do whatever he wants. He's got no money to back it up at this point. And I don't know if any money is coming at this point.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be does the RGA want to throw money into this, or do they want to go, defend some of their other seats? It's right based on some of the polling we've seen, maybe not. Based on, if Hobbs truly is leading by 8 points right now, do they want to sink that cash? Now, there's still the possibility that a group like Turning Point, who is, backing him and has shown an ability to fundraise, could get in there and backstop some of his fundraising. But I still don't see it coming to the level of whether it's the Hobbs campaign or the Democratic groups that are coming in to back her.
And it also seems like at some point, that point is going to be coming a lot faster than people think, because we're about 80 days away, like 82 days away from the general election. 60 days from when early voting begins.
And that's a vast majority of Arizonans vote by mail. I think I saw it was close to 90% in the primary, maybe. And even in general elections where, it might go down a little bit, it's historically been around 80% over the past several cycles.
It's big. And if he even does get that money, when does he get it and can he spend it? Because a lot of the TV ads and all that stuff that people are looking for, all that inventory is already getting booked up right now.
Yeah, not to kick someone while they're down, but someone like Hugh Lytle, who everyone thought was going to take that no labels candidacy. I saw, I looked into his finances. I saw he already had some TV spots reserved before he found out that he lost that primary. And again,
maybe Biggs campaign can make a deal,
make a pivot. Yeah, but that's just to show that, like you said, a lot of these reservations are being made even before the primary was over. So if he doesn't have that money yet, then are all those spots going to be taken? Is he going to be on, like the cooking channel at 1 a.m. trying to convince some swing voters? I don't know.
Oh, well, let me ask you this before we move on to the next thing too, but because it'll be close. I don't think it's going to be 8 points. No. I think that's maybe where voters. It's a snapshot, but Republicans will come home. Fundamentally, it's going to be a close race. It's divided. which always brings me to the question now in Arizona, like, what is considered a blowout win? Because, like, I remember when my first gubernatorial campaign was Len Munsell versus Janet Napolitano, and she just blew him out of the water. 20, 30 points. I can't remember what the digits were, but it was a margin you won't see in Arizona again, at least in the near future.
Yeah.
But, like, what's a blowout now?
And even, like, Governor Ducey was winning by, 15 points.
Yeah.
And this goes back to the whole why aren't elections called an election night? Well, when you win by that much, you can call them on election night when they're close. Honestly, I would consider it a blowout for either side if they won by 2%. Like, I mean, I know that sounds close, but, Governor Hobbs won by 20,000 votes last time.
Yeah.
Attorney General Mays won by less than 300. Like, so in with those realities, at least in those types of races, I'd say something like Secretary of State, I expect a wider margin. Fontes won by quite a significant margin last time, but that's a very different office. I think for those offices that have such a wide birth control policy, governor, attorney general, at 2% is basically a blowout in this state.
Yeah, I'd be close to that. I think anything more than 2%, you can almost call a blowout. 5% is definitely like a wave. That's a tidal wave.
That's a mandate. She gets everything she wants.
So funny you brought up Mays, because I also want to talk about the reporting you did on that. I mean, what's going on with the fake electors case? And you reported that the judge has dismissed this case, but it doesn't mean it's over, right?
Yeah, it's essentially a kind of a clerical step at this point. Mays had already moved to dismiss the case. Basically, a judge essentially dismissed the case months and months ago when he sent it back to a grand jury. He said Mays didn't explain the federal law that the fake electors were essentially using to justify their behavior. Didn't explain it well enough to the grand jurors, and so sent it back. Said you have to explain it. That basically starts the case over. Instead of bringing it back to a grand jury immediately, Mays moved to dismiss the case with the right to refile, and that's what we have this week. The judge approved that. So some of the plaintiffs had said, no, please dismiss it with prejudice, which basically means you cannot refile. They'd be scot-free. They'd be, off to the races. But so potentially, Mays has still said she plans to refile this case.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, she has said that she's going to refile.
And now the judge has given her permission to do that. When we see that, I don't know. I mean, I think this election's obviously going to play a lot into it. We spent 2.5 years to get to the point where it got sent back.
Yeah, and is your sense that the public voters still care about this issue? Because we're starting to get to the point where it's like, it's closer to a decade now. We're 6 years past that.
Yeah, and I mean, if you just want to look at polling, it shows democracy issues are not.
Yeah.
They are never near the top, but they've got close to the top of issues post, January 6th. But again, like you said, it's 6 years later. I don't think it resonates with people the same way. Polling shows that it's not a top 4, not top 5 issue at this point. I think it can make a difference in elections because those margins are so close, like we talked about. So if it matters with, 10,000 really locked in moderate voters, then maybe it can flip an election. But it's not one of those issues that's Mays is going to go announce again so she can get reelected.
Yeah, and it's just kind of intuitively, too. I just have a hard time thinking when somebody's paying $4 a gallon of gasoline, they're sitting there looking at how much they're paying, and they're like, if only those fake electors.
Well, I mean, they reelected Donald Trump. So I mean, that shows that a majority of voters in this state where he won, don't care about him trying to overturn a previous election because then they sent him back anyway.
That's fascinating. And and a couple of stories I really wanted to talk to you about because it's fun stuff. Talk to me about Ralph Heap. Ralph Heap, the state lawmaker, wants to be part of the CorpCom. He's got some problems with some spending issues.
Well, anyone who wants to be part of CorpCom, number one, has problems. But I just say that because it's a very esoteric agency, very important. I cover it a lot. Has to do with your utility rates and things like that. But it's just such an anonymous agency that very few people want to run for it because politicians like people who know who they are. Nobody knows who their corporation commissioner is, and it's just a hard job. It's a lot of work. But anyway, Mr. Heap was running kind of on the platform supported by the far right that the existing Republican commissioners, they're all Republican right now, aren't doing enough to keep coal alive. That was basically the crux of their platform. And now he's running into some problems because he's a clean elections candidate, which means he has to obey all sorts of campaign finance rules, can't take money from PACs, all that. Long story short, he had a bunch of signs go up around the valley and the rest of the state that no one knows who paid for them. So
and there's been some interesting math done by like Tyler Montague and stuff like that. It's like how did he do this?
Yeah, so I grew up in a print shop, so I had a general idea of what this stuff costs. And a sign you can expect the big ones to go around $30 a piece, and he only reported $600 in spending. $30 a piece doesn't count for installing all that kind of stuff.
On the labor, it's intensive.
Yeah, you're putting in a rebar and all that kind of stuff. It's 100 degrees outside. I think a speaker during the hearing today actually said no one's doing that for free. But anyway, so that $600, do the math, isn't going to get you that many signs. The math I've seen, that it should cost him anywhere $50,000+ for the amount of signs people have seen around the state.
And clean elections is very limited on what you can spend money or who can spend money really on you
when
too.
You can spend money, and that's becoming the big issue because Heap's attorney has come out and said that, well, actually we got a line of credit from the sign shop. That's how we paid for it, so we're good. Now, Clean Election says not so quick. The executive director said, well, you still have to report that, which you didn't. Now, there's some disagreement about what the law says there, so I won't get too much into that. But even beyond that, there's a rule that says Clean Elections candidates cannot take on debt more than their cash on hand before they're funded, before they receive that big tranche of public money that Clean Elections gives them. Well, according to Mesa Sign Shop, he ordered these signs in April, which was before he qualified for funding, and then took out a line of credit, which is debt. So that's the second argument that the executive director for Clean Elections is now making to his commissioners is that, well, he took out debt in violation of this law, which means, again, he's violated it. Don't release his money. And there's actually a meeting going on right now as we speak to see whether they're going to release that money.
Breaking news. Well, I mean, when Clean Elections passed, people who put that together, they gamed this. It's like, okay, there's a reason why all this debt stuff is in there and how to spend and when to spend, because I think they were forward looking on how people might try to game the system and do exactly what is alleged to have happened here. I want to ask you too, also a bad look, wasn't it? You reported a story recently too on Heap wasn't going to sign some paperwork there attesting to that everything he has said about the spending is accurate and truthful.
So it was kind of two separate but interconnected issues. Yeah. The original reason Clean Elections wouldn't give him his money is because one of the rules requires the candidate to sign an affidavit basically saying, yes, all of my finance reports are in and they are accurate. And he wouldn't sign it. And so
what's shady about that? Yeah. Why would that raise any alarm bells?
Yeah, so I will say he has since signed it. Okay. It's just the past few days his attorney sent that in and was like, all right, we signed it, give us the money. But now we have these complaints in alleging that they're not accurate. And so now the Clean Elections executive director is saying, well, wait a minute. Just because he signed it doesn't mean we can release this money, because if he violates this rule or that rule, then we still shouldn't release it. And so that's kind of what's being adjudicated before the commission right now is whether the commission should release this money. Heap's also at various points asked to be let out of the program entirely, which would let him go fundraise traditionally, take that PAC money, all that kind of stuff. And the commission told him no on that too. So if they won't release his money but won't let him out of the program, then he's just stuck with very few fundraising avenues going into a general election.
Again, 80 some days left until the election, and he's stuck doing this. I mean, that's
he's got about $9,000. And now, again, that's according to campaign finance reports that were saying are suspect and have been revised 7, 8, 9 times in some cases. So,
and let's wrap on this. Wrap up on this. There's the Green Party sham candidate. You reported helped get a GOP candidate onto the ballot.
Yeah, this is also connected to Heap.
It's all connected.
Yeah, so
it's like get out the beautiful mine with the yarn and all that other stuff, right?
The Arizona Mirror has done some pretty good reporting on this already. That Dwayne Collier, who's running for Secretary of State as a Green, and Rizzo Lombardo, who's running for governor as a Green, that neither are actually Green candidates.
Well, Lombardo, was a Republican for a precinct committee person for a long time.
She has more extensive public record showing she was a Republican, but I think the Mirror then showed that both are using this new consultancy firm in Nevada that was founded by Republicans. So a lot of connections there that they're basically spoilers trying to
siphon votes away from Democrats. Yeah.
So I was going through one of the complaints against Heap, and who's listed amongst his signature gatherers but Dwayne Collier, this supposed Green Party candidate. Now, Collier has in the past worked for some of these signature gathering firms, so he gets paid to do this kind of thing. But one would think that if you were a diehard Green Party candidate, that you're not going to go out and sign up to collect signatures for a Republican, especially something like the Corporation Commission, which deals with utilities, which deals with pollution, a big issue for Green Party candidates. And the guy you're collecting signatures for says, "What's wrong with this commission? Not enough coal."
You gotta love Arizona politics, man. It's just always it's the gift that keeps on giving, and completely unrelated. As they say, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying.
Well, I'm not going to comment on whether anyone's cheating, but
No.
the Corporation Commission is currently looking at whether anyone's trying.
Yeah, the thing is too about the Corporation Commission, for people who listen to this show probably are aware, it's a hell of a track record over there, man.
Yeah, the whole reason that all these Corporation Commission candidates are running as clean candidates is because candidates, decade ago got in so much trouble because of this APS dark money scandal where they're injecting so much money into these races and the utilities to try and game them. So since that time, historically, these Corporation Commission candidates have chosen to run as clean candidates just to say, hey, see, we're not taking the PAC money, we're not taking the corporation money, we're running to try and get that stink off them from about a decade ago, and now that stink seems to be hovering back over, for lack of a better term.
Because it used to be back in the day, not that they were, it was any better back then, but you'd have lawmakers run for the CorpCom for the retirement. Because they believe they make about $75,000 a year as compared to $24,000 a year for your lawmakers, and it was the lawmakers who didn't have what it takes to get one of the state's top offices.
Justice of the Peace.
It was. They would either run for CorpCom or JP at that point, right? Because you gotta up that retirement, man.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So so you'd see people who at least kind of knew what they're talking about. Every campaign event I went to, he did not seem to have a in-depth grasp on what the CorpCom does beyond the fact that he wanted to blame them for coal plants in northern Arizona shutting down, which is a trend that's been going on for years now, that the utilities back because coal just doesn't really pan out here anymore. They much prefer, even on the Republican side that's not full clean energy, they prefer natural gas.
Awesome, man. Well, thanks for stopping by and giving us a debrief here on the week. It's been another interesting week. Let's hope to have you back here really soon, sometime before the election ends here, man.
Always happy to talk about the Corporation Commission.
All right, man. With that, man, we'll see you next time.
Yep, thanks.
And welcome to the back half of the Politics Unplugged podcast. As always, the straw that stirs the drink. Yeah. Colin, Stan, how the hell are you, man?
I'm good. How are you?
Just getting through the week, man.
Yeah.
It's like anymore, like especially during election seasons, it's just the week is one big day.
Yes.
It's like you wake up, it's Monday, and then it's Friday.
Yes. Yeah. Glad Friday's here.
Man, I love talking to Wayne. I'm glad he stopped by here, man. He's
he was terrific.
Smart guy, hardworking guy. I love those sham Green Party candidates. Yeah. It's like they're not even doesn't sound like they're even trying to hide.
No.
A Green Party candidate helping to get a pro coal guy on the ballot.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yes. I don't know how many people are going to look at the ballot and see G and go, yeah, I'm feeling green today. I don't know who this is, but what the hell?
G's for money. That's my guy.
I was going to go Hobbs, but I like the cut of the G there, so I'm going for it.
Amazing. Hell of a week, man. So I'll ask you the same question I asked to Wayne. You tired of talking about this damn lieutenant governor pick?
This is literally week 3 for us.
It is just a long time coming.
And the first time we can actually talk about it when it's actually happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I've probably said this twice now. I get the political savvy of it. I get the math behind it. I get the whole centrist thing. And I just keep flashing back to the whole reason that the lieutenant governor exists is because if the governor leaves office, then you have someone of the same party taking over instead of someone of the opposite party. Yeah. And so in a show of unity, they decided to scrap that and go with a former lifelong Democrat or lifelong Republican as the lieutenant governor. And I keep flashing back to Napolitano when Obama got elected, Napolitano immediately took a role within the administration, and Arizona got Jan Brewer, which is not exactly what Arizona had voted for.
I mean, you have to go back a long time for somebody who got elected twice and served 2 full terms.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, Raul Castro got tapped to be an ambassador. He got replaced by Bruce Babbitt. Bruce Babbitt, I think, won an election or two after that. But then after that, you have Ev Meekum in the mid-'80s. Yes. We all know what happened to old Ev.
Yes.
He got
it was Rose Mofford
after that. And then Symington gets elected, and there's that whole criminal conviction thing.
Yes, yeah. So we got Jane D. Hull.
Then we got Jane D. Hull, and after her, you had Napolitano, who went away because Obama tapped her.
Right.
And then we got Jan Brewer. And then that led us to Doug Ducey.
Who actually did serve.
Got elected. Came to the office initially by getting elected and served 2 full terms and left. I mean, you got to go back a long ways.
Yes. Yeah, he was the first one in a long, long time.
So, now you watch for the next 50 years, that will never happen again.
Yeah, yeah. And I don't know what the odds are that a Democratic president comes in and taps Hobbs for, Homeland Security chief.
We'll let our viewers and listeners chat amongst themselves about that. But I don't know. I don't know if she'd be tapped for Homeland Security.
No.
HHS maybe.
Maybe.
I don't know. No. But let's talk about something that's been kind of interesting to follow this week. I mean, the amazing story involving our president, Donald Trump. Secretly leaving the Air Force One to get on another plane to take off, and basically using Air Force One as a decoy because there were credible threats against Air Force One. So on Air Force One, you had members of his staff and the full traveling press corps.
Right.
That has been a story that has gotten a lot of attention this week.
Yeah, and I think too much of the attention has sort of focused on, he got into one of those little catering trucks and went over to a different plane.
Outsmarted those Iranians.
Yeah. And not really has focused on, instead of just not using Air Force One, instead of grounding it, just went ahead and sent his staff up there and the entire press corps to be shot down, they thought. They thought they thought there was a credible threat, so he let them go up to be shot down while he got on a different plane, which is, I think, reprehensible at best. And we know he doesn't care about the press corps. The press corps will still, we just a few weeks ago had the redo of the dinner, the correspondence dinner, where he called them names and they all giggled like it was clever.
And I don't know who's on the press corps these days are on that jet, because it's not exactly like, I wouldn't be surprised if far right wing, news organizations were on that jet too, like Gateway Pundit and all
Mike Lindell's crew.
Yeah, all of them. That wouldn't be surprising either.
Yeah,
and to be clear, I'd hate to see anything happen to them because this plane was used as a decoy. That would be freaking tragic.
And his own staff.
Yeah.
Imagine what it's like to be a Trump staffer, theoretically a true believer there because you believe in what he's doing, and he climbs into a catering truck to get off the plane so you can go up on a plane he's not getting onto because he thinks it's going to be shot down.
Yeah.
Caroline Leavitt put in her notice.
Unrelated.
Immediately afterwards. So maybe related, maybe not.
Yeah.
But if I was a press secretary just coming back from maternity leave and my boss had let me be on that plane while, a couple other people he took with him in the catering truck, I'd be pretty inclined to give notice too.
Yeah. Side note, don't want to get off on too much of a tangent on that, but did you see the name that's been popping up as a possible replacement for Caroline Leavitt?
Yeah. I heard that one.
She used to be an anchor here, right?
I understand that was the case, yes.
And
yeah, so Kari Lake, people are floating as a potential press secretary.
I kind of just think that's just lazy predictions.
I think so too.
You know, because I don't even know if, like, would you want that job if you're Kari Lake?
Yes. Yes, I think she would take any job.
Maybe. But like the juxtaposition, like you were this close to just sipping Mai Tais on the beach in Jamaica to then going into the media mosh pit that is the White House.
She's been trying to be in that media mosh pit for years now and failing over and over. I mean, the reason I don't think she's going to get it isn't because I don't think she would want it. I think she would love it. I think the folks who are in the White House want nothing to do with her at this point.
I think there's been some reporting on that, but we'll wait and see to what happens with that. But by and large, I haven't paid too much attention to like possible replacements to Carolyn Leavitt because I don't believe that the press secretaries for this president are there to just present facts or like it used to be. I think they're there to, just 100% push an agenda.
Yeah.
And the way they've treated people in the press corps is just, I don't think is dignified.
Yeah. And I saw people praising her for what a good job she has done to try and sell his agenda, and his approval rating's like 34% now. Mm-hmm. So I'm not sure, I think it's a tough job.
I mean, look, and I want to be clear too. I think all press secretaries are trying to push their boss's agenda.
Yeah. Yes, I think some more than others.
But I mean, I just think that there's not a lot of truth that comes out.
No,
of that comes out of those press conferences.
Yes,
with them, and that's why I just been like, I don't really care who replaces her. It's going to be more of the same. It's just going to be more of the same.
Yes, and it's also fair to note that people don't last very long in that job. That's a grind of a job.
It is.
So there's not too much to read into one's leaving and another's coming in, although I find the timing sort of
the timing
funny.
is interesting. I was going to bring that up too because, yes, we've learned about this crazy thing with the Air Force One that he was willing to put members of his cabinet and the press corps and use them as bait or a possible decoy in a very dangerous situation.
Yeah.
And then, she announces that she is moving on. Well, she did just have a kid.
Yes.
There's that. And then she's been in this job for, a year and a half now?
Yeah.
That is a long time for
a press
secretary to be in that role.
And she has been back a month.
Mm-hmm.
It's sort of curious that she would come back to a month and then quit. And there are reports that she was not happy with how she was treated while she was on leave, that she felt she was being hounded to return.
Mm-hmm.
That could also play into it.
Fascinating.
But yeah, it is fascinating that she comes back from maternity leave and 1 month later she's out.
Well, I mean, I don't know. Like, I don't have kids. Maybe she came back and decided, like, a month later, this isn't for me. I need to go back.
Absolutely possible. Yeah. I mean, you're pretty busy as the mother of a infant.
However, everything being equal, the timing is extremely interesting. And what the president did with that, I think, is kind of reprehensible.
Yeah.
I mean, I think couldn't there have been a different option? Couldn't you have just grounded the jet until you neutralize the threat?
You would think so. It is hard to picture any other president in the history of the country.
And this is a president too, who's like he's been obsessed, and maybe rightfully so. He's been shot at, attempted assassinations and stuff like that. And I've read that he has kind of been obsessed about that. That's definitely something forefront on his mind. But couldn't there have been a different way to handle that instead of using a decoy jet? Air Force One is a freaking decoy.
Yes. Let them shoot someone else down is not really the approach you would like.
It's not what how you'd want a friend to deal with you.
No. No. And I suspect there are a number of people in the administration who are looking at the situation thinking, I got left on the plane, huh? I didn't get the little ride on the truck. I had to go up on the plane.
Yeah.
Marco Rubio got to go on the catering truck.
I mean, I don't know. That's just fascinating. I did want to kind of go over this, something else here locally. We hit it briefly on the television show. Was the Joanna Mendoza thing that Siscomani is hitting her on?
Yeah,
she apparently took. I mean, you don't need to know the details about the whole thing, but she basically wrongfully took a property tax credit, and I've been saying that the headlines are far worse than the reality of it, because the headline is like wrongfully takes this property tax credit, but then you get into the details, like she saved a few $100 over the past few years, like 3 years, and I just kind of wanted to ask you about that. I was like, I want to get your take on that. I'm like, Siscomani camp is going after, this candidate for wrongfully taking a property tax credit. Fine, that's fair game.
Yeah,
but does it resonate in this era when we are seeing corruption at the national level?
Yeah,
I mean in the billions of dollars.
No,
and you're talking about a $400 property tax credit.
Yeah. It feels like the type of thing that might have been a big deal once upon a time, and now you anticipate worse.
I mean, that's
and if you're a Democrat and you look at what's going on elsewhere, are you really going to say, well, I'm not voting for someone who got a few $100 off a perhaps improperly received property tax credit?
Yeah.
When, in Washington, they're voting on a $1.8 billion slush fund.
Yeah,
for January 6 guys.
Yeah, and
it's hard to get people to care about something like this.
Yeah, I mean, and to me, when I think about the lasting effects of the Trump administration, like this could be one of those long lasting effects where you've defined corruption on such a different level.
Yeah,
that these kinds of things don't matter.
Yeah,
like, should this be a big deal? I don't know if it should be a big deal or not. It would have been 20 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah,
it would have been maybe not a big deal. It would have been a thing, a deal. And I'm not sure how much mileage Siscomani gets out of this.
No, it feels like now any sort of corruption claim has to involve literally billions of dollars before it registers, and even then, it doesn't really seem to register much.
Yeah, I know. Like the crypto thing, like how long has that been around? Like with them doing the crypto deals, and the public is not really. But like,
making billions on that.
I don't want to sit and go down that rabbit hole.
Yeah.
I do want to talk about something else that's been going on here in the state and the valley, and it's this thing called Hope for Cardinal fans.
Okay, if you want to call it that, you go right ahead.
Wait, what the hell is going on?
Hope is a dangerous thing, man.
It is, man, because like. Your third round quarterback has a solid, like we were saying last week, a solid game with the Hall of Fame game.
He looked fine. He had a couple really nice passes.
Yeah, and as you said, a good Hall of Fame game is a whole lot better than a bad one.
Yes, it beats having a bad one.
Yeah,
he was still threading those passes in against guys who are going to be driving UPS trucks in 3 weeks.
100%.
Yeah,
and I love my UPS drivers. I worked there for a while, and like good people.
Not an insult to UPS drivers.
Salt of the earth, those people.
Yes,
but like, yeah, there was a whole week of people talking about this, and then like national figures were talking because it was the only game on.
Yes.
So everybody's like talking about it.
It'll be the one time this year that the national media watches the Cardinals and doesn't just see the highlights on SportsCenter.
Yeah, and then and then you have another preseason game against the Raiders last night, and like everybody is just like amazed by this offense. It's like it's technically the first preseason game.
Yeah,
it's like it's preseason, man.
Yeah.
And hope is a dangerous freaking thing, man.
Yeah.
I am a Cardinal fan. I don't have hope for this team this year. What I have now is something to be excited for to watch on Sunday. Like Jeremiah Love, that I think he could be fun to watch. I think the development of the quarterback could be fun, but hope that maybe this team could exceed all expectations. Like, I don't think so.
What does exceeding all expectations look like?
Winning 5 games?
5 and 12?
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because that would literally exceed all expectations.
So a few things to remember. Preseason means nothing. There were people praising the play calling.
Oh, that was killing me the other night, too,
Yeah.
because this guy's like, oh, and the play calling, like, they're running the same plays.
Yeah. It's preseason. If you are getting creative with your play calling, you are making a mistake.
Yes, you're doing
You
it
don't
wrong.
want creative play calls.
You're doing it wrong.
Yes. If you got something clever, you're saving it for the real season. You're not doing it now.
No.
And they were playing the Raiders, which,
Another team that is expected to be about as good as the Cardinals were this year.
Yes. The Raiders are at least in a position where they believe they have their quarterback now, so they're not quite jockeying for that position quite like they were last year. And by all accounts, and I didn't see much of the game, by all accounts, Mendoza looked really good.
Yeah, he
the
did.
Raiders.
He
People
looked great.
were very impressed with that.
And so did Jacoby Brissett.
Yes.
By that same standard, I mean, but Jacoby has always been like a world beater in preseason, from my understanding.
And he's a solid meat and potatoes quarterback.
Yeah. 100%.
He's either one of the weakest starting quarterbacks in the league, or he is the best backup in the league, depending on how you're using him. He's probably ranks about 32 among quarterbacks, which is a really impressive thing. Unless he's the best one you got. And there are only
When you
32
consider
teams.
when you consider there's not many quarterbacks in the world in the NFL, that's impressive if you're ranked in the top 30.
The 380 million people in the U.S. or whatever it is.
You're in the top 30. Good for you, man.
If you're like the 32nd best quarterback, that's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
It's the 32-team league. So,
well, I can only say, like, as a fan, like, I'm not sucking up the hopium, but I am generally, I feel like I have something to look forward to watching on Sunday, at least at the beginning of the season, which is a lot different than it was a few months ago. I would have said, like, this team is just going to be hot garbage to watch. It's not going to be fun because, like, I don't know if you remember, like, really how bad the Cardinals in previous years were in preseason.
sure, yeah.
I mean, even in preseason, they were freaking god awful.
Yeah.
Last year, I read a stat, like, last year they scored 4 touchdowns or 5 touchdowns in all their preseason games last year.
Yeah.
They did that in one game last night. Yes, maybe give me something to look forward to watching on the weekend, but I'm not expecting them to go out there and challenge for the NFC West Championship and make the playoffs. And again, exceeding expectations would be a 5-win season.
Yeah. I think that's a healthy way to go into it. Hope that there are things that are entertaining.
Yeah.
It's one reason why I had no problem. A lot of people were complaining about them drafting Jeremiah Love when they have other
he's
fundamental
great.
issues. And they do have fundamental issues, and they are sort of loaded at running back. So on a lot of levels, it probably didn't make sense. But, God, give people something to watch.
Mm-hmm.
Assuming if their goal is to be good in 2 or 3 years, Jeremiah Love can be part of that. You assume James Conner probably isn't, given his age and his history of injuries and just the basics of the position.
Yeah.
So, sure, throw in a little fun with a guy who looks like he's probably going to be pretty damn good.
Yeah, he looks great.
And can develop into something, who will be there and helpful when it matters.
Yeah, he looks great.
Because it probably won't matter this year.
Yeah, he looks great, and like, we'll see.
Marvin Harrison?
We'll see, man. I mean, like, all this stuff is like, anybody who's got the hope for the Cardinals to do incredibly well and pull off a miracle, I think that's going to come crashing down and hit a hard reality week 1 against the Chargers.
Yeah. I was struck that it seemed like, did they add the silver to the white uniforms that I saw last night?
Dude, if you're going to start going down this road, because I know where you're going.
Yeah.
I know where you're going this, and you're going to compare the uniforms to Ohio State.
Yeah.
And like, why would you ruin this for me?
For sport. They look like Ohio State uniforms to me, as if they were trying to make Marvin Harrison Jr. feel more at home.
And all the other
in a place where he was perhaps more successful than he has been with the Cardinals so far.
I cannot stand that school.
Yeah, I'm not a fan either. But But you're more of a Cardinals guy than I am, so it's fun.
Call it a character flaw of Collins. He likes the
Character
jab.
flaw for someone.
Just poke fun.
Yeah. So good. The Arizona Buckeye Cardinals.
Hey man, there are enough Buckeyes on the Cardinal team, man. You know, former Buckeyes on there, but let's talk about NBA basketball. I mean, do you even have a team anymore?
No. No. I've been rooting for the Suns for years.
Yeah.
I'm not rooting for a team that has Miles Bridges on it.
Mm-hmm.
Full stop. I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
So in the question of who else do I root for? Well, I spent 10 years in Oregon. Mostly root for the Trailblazers, and I've always liked the Trailblazers. They've got a scumbag owner who's going to try and move them, or at least is making huge noises about moving them, and is just generally a loathsome human being. So I'm not really going to jump on the Trailblazers bandwagon just to see them move to wherever they're going to move to. So that led me with the Lakers. I grew up in Southern California with the Showtime Lakers. I was a huge Laker fan back then. And so just as I was sort of mentally shifting in, okay, I'm back. I'm back as a Laker fan. They get sold to Josh Kushner and Bob Iger. And like the more I read about it, the less it bothers me.
Mm-hmm.
But it's still there's still enough there to be of concern.
Yeah.
He's not his brother. Josh Kushner is Jacob Kushner's brother.
Yeah.
They are different people in a number of ways. There's still reason for concern in that. I mean, he's a venture capitalist, which and he was the brains behind FIFA's attempt to sell off the World Cup to venture capital.
Oh no!
Yeah, he was the one pushing that.
So there's not a lot there.
So, having said all that, he's been a minority owner of the Heat for a while, and before that, he was a minority owner of the Grizzlies.
Yeah.
He's well liked in NBA circles. Has been involved in sports for a long time. Bob Iger has been a key figure in sports for a long time as the head of Disney. Was floated for a while as, I think, a potential NFL commissioner.
Really?
Yeah. And here's a tidbit I heard the other day that I was unaware of. Bob Iger, very, 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 very close with Chris Paul, former Suns point guard, among other things. So they were saying, I Hoop Collective podcast on ESPN, some of their NBA reporters, they were saying, do not be surprised if you see Chris Paul in a prominent role with the Lakers because of his relationship with Bob Iger. And apparently the bubble during COVID, that was Chris Paul and Bob Iger. They came up with it. It was their idea. They hashed it out together on long walks in the Hollywood Hills during COVID and came up with the entire bubble concept.
It was a great concept.
It really was.
Yeah.
So that's how close Chris Paul and Bob Iger are. So we expect Chris Paul to be there. But yeah, the Lakers had seemingly really great ownership in Mark Walter. They could see what he had done with the Dodgers, and it gave Lakers. Laker fans had always been concerned that the Buss family was sort of a mom and pop thing that didn't always seem to really know what they were doing.
There's still a lot of question marks about the timing of the sale. Like, why about a year after buying the Lakers would you say? Because he's making a $2 billion profit, but
yes, he clearly wasn't the goal.
Yeah, but
he wasn't looking to flip.
Yeah, he's not a guy with that kind of wealth and is not trying to make a quick $2 billion.
Right. And the explanation I've heard is Mark Walter made his money through insurance. Mm-hmm. And there are rules in place for insurance companies that if you own multiple businesses like he does, you're not allowed to dip too heavily into the insurance company's money to fund other projects. You have to keep a certain amount of the money within the insurance company, so if someone
so you can follow through on the promises you made to people who are paying insurance premiums.
Yes. And I think the SEC, someone out of the federal agency, is investigating whether he was moving too much of the insurance money into other businesses. And therefore, it looks like Mark Walter, there have been reports for the last month or so, I guess, that Mark Walter had been trying to move money back into the insurance company from other places to satisfy the federal investigators. And word about that got around the NBA, and I guess I think Bob Iger told a reporter that it was suggested to them that perhaps maybe they might want to talk to Mark Walter. Iger and Kushner had been the main forces behind the move to expand into Vegas. They were expected to be the owners of a Las Vegas expansion team, and the estimates were that was going to cost them about $10 million or so. So now they could pay a little bit more and be the owners of the Los Angeles Lakers instead of a Las Vegas expansion team. And then being the owners of the Lakers, they're a pretty good deal.
It's amazing.
And when I say pay $10 million or pay $12 million for that, they're not actually paying $12 million. They're buying out the bus shares, which is 77% of the team, I think, at a valuation of $12 million. So we're probably talking more like $9 million. That's getting sort of into the weeds, but
well,
anyway.
I think we're about time to wrap it up, man. You got any plans for the weekend?
Nothing.
And sorry you lost your. I mean, you just losing NBA teams left and right.
Yeah, it's been a rough off season, man.
Yeah, it really has been. You didn't see. It's not the kind of off season you expected to go into. Like I'm gonna.
No, and I'm much more generally a fan of the sport than I am of rooting for a single team. But I've been rooting for the Suns for years, and again, I'm not rooting for a team that has Miles Bridges on the roster. Yeah. That's not happening. But to have the Blazers sold to an absolute dirtbag of an owner, that will end up being a giant black mark on Adam Silver's tenure.
And as somebody who's not a fan of the Trailblazers, but I just like the fact that the Trailblazers exist in Portland.
Yes.
It's great.
Yes. Fans love them. They're the only game in town for the most part. I mean, they've got like an MLS team that people love, and they've got an NBA team that does very well. But in terms of the, your standard Big Four, that's all they've got. And the city has loved that team for 50 years.
Yeah.
And some guy who has no connection there, wants no connection there, has made no attempt. If anything, he has stepped in trying to piss off the people of Portland, is demanding the arena be renovated, or he's looking somewhere else. And when they asked him if he's going to chip in, he said, "Hey, I did my part by buying this team. This is on you." He couldn't be more loathsome than he is.
All right. Well, anyway, plans this weekend? Anything fun?
Nah, I don't think so. You?
No, I think I'm going to meet up with my sister and her husband.
All right.
So I haven't seen them in a while.
Nice.
They're going to be in Phoenix. They live all the way out near Florence. They don't get into the big city very often.
Okay. So as they fly in to visit, you're going to go say hi.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I hope they have a safe flight out here from Santan or Florence or where the hell they're at.
All right.
All right. I think we should have some. At this point, I think we got a pretty good guest set up for next week's podcast.
Yeah.
That we'll let you know.
Looking forward to it.
We'll let everybody know who that is a little bit later.
Yeah. We'll see you then.
We'll see you. Bye.
Thanks for listening. You can subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, the Google Store, or anywhere else you get your podcasts. See you next time.